So Arsenin, let me ask you this. What do you think is more likely? One, a near perfect success with no major challenges, or two, some challenges, but the organization endures due to strong culture and therefore successful. So number one, a perfect implementation with hardly any challenges for whatever reason. Or number two, you always have challenges and you go through some pains, but you can endure and you'll still be successful. But that requires a certain degree of, I would say, organizational culture. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on those two?
Um, of course, the perfect success with no major challenges, I think that is not likely to happen. And it's not because of the applications. It's also because where a company starts. If your data management is not done well, and that happens with acquisition, different sites, different countries, and you lean on Excel and other manual activities in order to run your organization, that data conversion is typically also a very big factor in success. So a near perfect success with no major challenges, you're probably doing an uplift from a previous ERP, you know the data sets, you know where you want to go. So the challenge will always be there because change is a challenge on its own. People don't like to change. But the organization needs to be ready to endure it. That's something, a strong culture helps, strong decision making. Management sometimes is not aware how much impact they can have just because they're not involved in the implementation. The way you are guided through the implementation and the decision-making process is so vital to do that in a timely manner, because no decisions actually just prolong the implementation, cost, fatigue, all of the things we talked about earlier. Also, what the cloud did is they made, if you were operating in a multi-tenant cloud like we do, you can't just change everything. That is not possible because you're impacting the tenant itself. So the higher fit you have from a functional standpoint for your industry, the less likely you need to change the application to modify it for your business. What that does as a result is you don't have to write, test scripts, functions, CDs, TDs, test them all the time, because that is customer unique. Now you're looking at something that you're invoked in the solution set. And that brings the capabilities also down from change in the future. You never design something for the future. Unlike what we have to do, we have to look at different companies, different countries, how it works with other modules when we design a new capability. A customization, let's say like that, doesn't. So the more perfect you are from a mapping scheme, the more time you can spend on data conversion and other activities, testing, training, organization readiness. You don't have to worry about changing the solution. So that is where I think cloud also is starting to see, is that you don't want to change so much in the cloud. Sometimes you're not even allowed to do that in the cloud. But also it doesn't lend itself to be able to take on new innovations over time because you created something that blocks that.
Yeah, great explanation. I think there's a lot of variables to success, and you try to, I think the best you can do is mitigate and be prepared for how you react to challenges, not just try to prevent the challenges, right? Because there's just so many variables. But I do like, how you're emphasizing the idea of when you go through an ERP selection, it really is about, in my view, in my opinion, there is one best fit for every organization, and the organization does owe it to themselves to go out and find that one best fit. And what I mean by that is, to your point, the closer the product is in terms of functions and features to what you need for the business, the better. And then how well that product models your business. So you got to consider the modeling piece of it. You got to consider features and functionality, but you also have to consider other aspects and certainly from a project management approach and implementation approach. And, I tell people quite often, Arsenin, that an ERP organizational change effort is not a transactional event at all. It's not going from A to B to C to D, with a perfect straight line. It's a transformational event where you have these ups and downs along the way. And I think that there is a difference. It's a transformational event, not a transactional event.